Hello. So, in one of my last BBCs, I talked about some words that I'm trying to get rid of because they don't lead to a peaceful, happy mind. So, I had mentioned but, should, if only, and mistake. And I have to admit that dropping them is still a work in progress because I still catch myself using them quite a bit. So, today I thought I'd share some of the other words that I'm trying to avoid. So, the first pair is the words always and never, which severely distort reality. I recently had a conversation with someone where I said something like, "Why do our conversations always end up like this?" And she said, "Always? They always end up like this? Look again." So it really made me think about how my mind had only chosen to remember a few instances of when we talked, and then had that stand in for all of our conversations as a whole. And I realized that I also do this in many other situations too. And this is pretty ridiculous because it's a bit like going into an animal shelter and looking at cats of all different colors and coats and then coming out and saying, all cats have short orange fur. So I think the same process of overgeneralization is at play with the word never. And we might say things like, you never tell me you love me anymore, or you never take out the garbage. So chances are we wouldn't be saying this to somebody if they had never done the things that we were talking about, because we wouldn't have any expectation that they do it. And we often mistakenly use the word never in regards to ourselves as well, when we say things like, I never say the right thing, or I'll never be able to do this right. And on the other hand, we can also use always and never to minimize our faults instead of overemphasize them. And if the non-virtuous mental factor of pride is present in our mind, we might say things like, I never forget to do my chores, or I always remember what my teacher told me to do. So when this is happening, it's good to try and remember times when we didn't follow through on our obligations so that we don't start to look down on other people. And one form of always that really used to annoy me when I worked at the government is, we've always done it this way. And I think the Abbey is pretty good about not using this line of reasoning, but sometimes I do hear things, I hear syllogisms like, that's where the spatula goes because that's where it's always gone. So blindly preferring how things have been done in the past has been used to justify all kinds of unethical behavior in this country, like the death penalty, slavery, or even women's lack of right to vote. And I think worst of all would be thinking something like, I've always been in cyclic existence, so no need to get out. So then the next group of words I call prison words. And the first in that group is, I have to do such and such. And this is something that a lot of people at the Abbey have been working on, and I think many are doing quite well, although there was one slip this morning. So the reason that this phrase is not good is because I found it strips me of any joy in what I'm about to do because I feel like I have no choice. So instead of thinking things like, I have to wash lunch dishes this month, or I have to clean the toilet on Wednesdays, I'm trying to think, I choose to live in a clean and healthy environment for myself and others, so I choose to wash the toilet. I choose to offer service this morning. And this helps to quiet the critical, irritated mind and free up enough energy to do the task with a good motivation. So a similar phrase that can strip us of our agency and personal responsibility is, so-and-so made me. So common versions of this phrase include, she made me really angry the other day when she said that, or leaving dirty dishes in the sink makes me feel unappreciated. So here we are blaming the external world for our state of mind. As Buddhist practitioners, however, we choose to take responsibility for the state of our mind because we know that that's where our ultimate happiness or suffering lies. And it's literally impossible for any person, situation, or thing to make us upset if we don't have the seed of anger already in our mind stream. So the next time we want to say, "What you said made me nervous," or "Your actions make me feel unsafe," or even "You made me feel better after we talked," let's remember that we're not assigning responsibility to its proper place. And considering the role that our mind plays in considering in creating our experiences will give us far more choice and freedom in how we respond to the situation. So another imprisoning phrase is "I can't." And I've heard one senior monastic here at the Abbey correct people when they say "I can't do such and such" to say, "I can't do it right now." Because when we say "I can't," it sort of locks us into this permanent state of being that's unable to change and grow, and nothing could be further from the truth. And then there's the phrase "it's not fair." So I think this has come up recently. And when we do this, we build a wall between ourselves and others, and then everybody on the other side of that wall is trying to work against our best interest. And it's really easy to feel this way when we see situations of exploitation or injustice, and it's definitely worth fighting for equal human rights. But at the same time, we have to accept that people are born into all kinds of situations in life, and that even within their one life, they're constantly going up and down in status and wealth and fame and so on. One person may be rich today, and a poor person is probably not very unhappy, or is not very happy about that. But the next day, the rich person could lose all their money in a stock market crash, while the poor person wins the lottery. And at that point, I doubt the poor person is going to feel that their life is unfair. Most of all, complaining that life isn't fair ignores the existence of the law of karma, or cause and effect, which is the ultimate guarantor of fairness. So the law of karma ensures that all virtuous actions lead to beneficial results, or happiness, while all non-virtuous actions lead to suffering, regardless of who performs them. The Buddha taught that we all have to experience the results of our actions in this or future lives. So there's never a legitimate reason for worrying that the world is not fair, or that someone is gaining an unfair advantage over others. It can be a really hard lesson to swallow, but if we're ever in the middle of a circumstance where we're really suffering and we feel that someone's mistreating us, we think, well, I created the cause for this, or someone in my previous mental continuum created the cause for this, so there's really no reason to blame anybody else. So these are the words that I'm trying to do away with as much as possible, and it's definitely going to be a work in progress, because, yeah, they just so automatic. I think they often run in the back of my mind, and they're not even articulated. It's become an attitude or a way of seeing the world. So they're really deep, but I think it's worth trying to identify these kinds of words and phrases that harbor distrust or resentment, and to try and replace them with perspectives that return the power to us and give us the ability to shape our lives in a meaningful and beneficial way.